Tonight, let us slowly travel back into a quieter world. Long before highways glowed through the darkness, before towering skylines illuminated the horizon, and before millions of artificial lights erased the stars above human life, the world at night felt profoundly different. Villages rested beneath candlelight and moonlight. Empty roads disappeared quietly into forests and hills. Rivers reflected the night sky in near-total darkness, while distant church bells echoed softly across sleeping landscapes. For most of human history, cities were smaller, quieter, and far more deeply connected to the rhythm of nature than modern life often allows today. Tonight we will gently explore what the world felt like before modern cities transformed the human experience of night forever. Together, we will wander through peaceful medieval towns, silent countryside roads, candlelit homes, quiet fishing villages, snowfall beneath lantern light, moonlit rivers, old monasteries, sleeping harbors, and long stretches of darkness untouched by neon signs, traffic engines, or glowing skyscrapers. This is not a story about fear or danger. It is simply a slow journey into the quieter atmosphere human beings once knew before the modern world became endlessly awake. So, wherever you are tonight, allow your surroundings to soften for a while. Imagine distant rain moving through empty roads, warm lanterns glowing behind wooden windows, snowfall settling gently across rooftops while the stars remain visible overhead. Somewhere beyond the darkness, a quiet river continues flowing beneath the night sky, while entire villages rest peacefully beside fading firelight. Before we begin, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy peaceful, long-form nighttime documentaries like this one. And in the comments, tell us where you are listening from tonight and what kind of nighttime atmosphere feels most relaxing to you. Now, let the noise of the modern world grow distant as we slowly enter the peaceful world before modern cities. Eki 1, when the night belonged to darkness. Before modern cities filled the horizon with endless artificial light, the arrival of night transformed the world completely. Darkness was not something distant or partially hidden behind streetlights, glowing windows, traffic signals, and illuminated skylines. It arrived slowly and fully across forests, rivers, mountains, roads, villages, and fields, changing the atmosphere of human life itself once the sun disappeared beyond the horizon. In small towns and ancient villages, evening unfolded gradually beneath candlelight and moonlight. Shops closed early as the final activity of the day softened into silence. Wooden shutters covered windows against cold air, drifting through narrow streets, while lanterns glowed faintly beside doorways and quiet roads. Somewhere in the distance, horses moved slowly across stone paths, while church bells echoed gently through the darkening evening air, before fading once more into stillness. Researchers studying the history of urban life often note how dramatically the emotional texture of nighttime changed after industrialization and electricity transformed human environments. Before modern cities expanded endlessly outward with electric illumination, most communities became remarkably quiet after sunset. Roads emptied, fires burned low. Entire regions disappeared into darkness beneath stars bright enough to illuminate rivers, rooftops, forests, and distant hillsides. The night sky itself looked profoundly different from what most people see today. Without light pollution flooding the atmosphere continuously, the stars appeared sharper, brighter, and far more numerous above sleeping towns and countryside roads. The Milky Way stretched clearly across the darkness, while moonlight reflected softly across lakes, rivers, snow-covered fields, and empty village streets. Travelers from later centuries often described the overwhelming beauty of these older night skies, untouched by artificial brightness. Inside homes, life slowed naturally alongside the fading light outside. Candle flames illuminated only small portions of each room, encouraging quieter activity and softer conversation. Families gathered beside fireplaces, while rain moved gently through the darkness beyond wooden walls. Children drifted into sleep beneath blankets, warmed beside glowing embers, while adults spoke quietly near the fire before finally retreating to bed themselves. Because so much of daily life depended directly on daylight, there was often little reason to remain mentally active deep into the night. Artificial stimulation remained limited. Information traveled slowly. Roads became silent. Darkness itself encouraged the human mind toward rest in ways modern environments rarely preserve anymore. Researchers who study circadian rhythms today increasingly believe that the nervous system evolved for thousands of years within environments shaped by this gradual transition from daylight into true darkness. As the world dimmed naturally around sleeping communities, the body responded by preparing slowly for rest through hormonal changes closely tied to the disappearance of light itself. In fishing villages beside the sea, lanterns reflected softly across black water, while waves rolled gently against wooden docks through the cold night air. In mountain towns, snowfall settled across rooftops, while warm candlelight glowed faintly through frosted windows beneath the stars. Across forests and countryside roads, silence stretched for miles at a time, broken only by distant wind, rivers, rainfall, or the occasional sound of horses moving quietly through the darkness. And because the night remained so complete, beyond the small circles of firelight and lantern light surrounding human homes, the world itself often felt slower, larger and calmer once evening fully arrived. Entire landscapes rested beneath moonlight and stars, while villages drifted quietly into sleep within a world far darker and more peaceful than the endlessly illuminated cities most people know today. Act 2. The quiet rhythm of ancient towns. Before modern cities expanded into enormous centers of constant movement and artificial light, most human settlements followed rhythms shaped closely by weather, daylight, season, and the natural limits of darkness itself. Ancient towns and medieval villages were often small enough for nearly every sound, lantern and chimney fire to feel connected to the surrounding landscape. Roads remained narrow and quiet. Buildings stayed low beneath the open sky. Beyond the final homes at the edge of town, forests, rivers, fields and hills began almost immediately beneath the night. As evening settled across these communities, the transition into nighttime unfolded gradually rather than abruptly. Marketplaces emptied slowly while merchants packed away goods beneath fading daylight. Bakers removed the final warm loaves from stone ovens while smoke drifted upward into the cooling evening air. Blacksmiths extinguished their fires one by one as the metallic sounds of tools and labor disappeared softly from the streets. Somewhere nearby, church bells echoed gently across rooftops, while lanterns began glowing beside windows and narrow stone roads. Researchers studying historical urban life often note how deeply connected these older towns remained to the surrounding environment. Modern cities frequently overpower nature through constant illumination and noise, but ancient settlements usually existed within darkness rather than against it. At night, forests remained visible beyond town borders. Rivers reflected moonlight beside quiet bridges. Snowfall, rainstorms, fog, and wind moved freely through streets and open courtyards without the endless mechanical interruption common in modern urban life. Inside homes, the atmosphere became calmer as the night deepened. Candlelight flickered softly across wooden furniture and stone walls, while families gathered beside fireplaces for warmth during colder months. Evening meals unfolded slowly through conversation, storytelling, quiet prayer, or silent reflection after long days shaped by physical labor and daylight itself. Without electric light extending activity endlessly into the night, people naturally began withdrawing from stimulation as darkness settled fully across the town outside. The sounds surrounding these communities also carried a very different emotional atmosphere from modern cities. There were no engines humming continuously through the night, no distant highways, no glowing advertisements, and no constant mechanical noise filling the air. Instead, nighttime soundscapes remained largely shaped by weather and ordinary human life. Rain tapped gently against rooftops. Wind drifted through narrow streets and nearby trees. Horses moved slowly across stone roads, while distant footsteps echoed briefly before silence returned again. Researchers who study relaxation and environmental psychology today increasingly believe that predictable, low-intensity sound environments help calm the nervous system naturally. Ancient towns unintentionally created many of these conditions through darkness, candlelight, slower movement, and limited nighttime activity. The world simply became quieter after sunset. Even the pace of thought may have felt different then. Without constant information arriving every moment through screens and devices, nighttime often carried long, uninterrupted stretches of stillness. Many people spent hours beside firelight with little stimulation beyond conversation, weather, or quiet observation of the world outside. The nervous system had time to slow naturally, rather than remaining continuously activated deep into the night. And beneath enormous skies filled with stars, bright enough to illuminate rooftops and rivers softly below, these ancient towns gradually drifted into silence while candle flames dimmed behind windows and the peaceful darkness of the old world settled gently across the sleeping streets. In many ancient towns and early cities, nighttime brought with it a remarkable sense of stillness that modern urban environments rarely experience anymore. Once darkness fully settled across rooftops and narrow streets, the pace of life slowed dramatically. Roads that had been filled with merchants, workers, horses, carts, and conversation during the day gradually emptied beneath moonlight, while lanterns flickered softly beside doorways and quiet windows. Researchers studying historical sleep and urban behavior often describe how profoundly different the emotional atmosphere of nighttime felt before industrialization transformed human environments. Modern cities remain awake continuously, flooded with artificial brightness and constant movement through every hour of the night. But older towns often experienced long periods where very little happened after sunset beyond quiet domestic life, unfolding behind candlelit windows. This slower rhythm affected not only the streets themselves, but also the emotional experience of being human within those spaces. Without endless stimulation, the mind encountered far more silence. Evening became a time for slowing down rather than remaining mentally active deep into the night. Families gathered beside fireplaces while storms drifted softly outside. Travelers rested quietly inside roadside inns, warmed by candlelight and firewood during winter evenings. In monasteries, long stone corridors glowed faintly beneath lantern light, while distant bells echoed through cold night air beyond silent courtyards. Even the architecture of older towns shaped nighttime differently. Buildings remained lower, streets narrower, and public spaces more intimate than modern cities filled with towering structures and constant illumination. Moonlight and candlelight interacted softly with stone roads, wooden homes, bridges, market squares, and quiet canals, creating environments where darkness remained present rather than erased completely. In coastal towns beside the sea, waves rolled steadily against docks and harbor walls, while fishing boats drifted quietly beneath lantern light, reflected across black water. Fog moved slowly through narrow streets, while distant bells from ships or churches carried softly through the night. In northern regions during winter, snow absorbed sound across entire villages, creating long stretches of near-total silence beneath pale moonlight and star-filled skies. Researchers who study circadian biology today increasingly believe that these quieter nighttime environments may have supported healthier transitions into sleep than many modern cities allow now. Artificial brightness, traffic noise, and constant stimulation can keep the nervous system partially alert deep into the evening, while older environments naturally reduced sensory intensity after sunset through darkness, stillness, and repetitive sound. People living in ancient towns therefore experienced the night far more directly than most modern urban populations do today. They noticed weather changing outside. They heard rain beginning against rooftops. They watched fog drift slowly through streets, illuminated only by lanterns and moonlight. They listened to distant footsteps fade across stone roads after midnight, while the rest of the town slept quietly behind darkened windows. And because darkness remained so complete beyond the final lanterns and candles, entire communities often felt surrounded by the natural world itself. Forests waited beyond the edges of town. Rivers moved silently beneath bridges. Snowfall covered roads and rooftops, while stars stretched endlessly overhead beyond the faint glow of firelight rising from sleeping homes below. As the night deepened across these older towns, a softer and more intimate world gradually emerged beneath the darkness. During the day, marketplaces, workshops, docks, farms, and roads carried the ordinary sounds of human labor and movement. But after sunset, those same places transformed completely beneath candlelight, moonlight, fog, snowfall, and silence. The world no longer belonged to activity and urgency. It belonged to stillness. Researchers studying pre-industrial urban life often note how strongly nighttime altered human perception before modern artificial lighting became widespread. Darkness limited visibility naturally, encouraging slower movement and quieter behavior. Lanterns illuminated only small sections of roads and buildings, while most of the surrounding landscape faded gently into shadow. Rivers reflected faint moonlight beneath silent bridges, while distant church towers stood against star-filled skies above sleeping towns. Inside homes, the atmosphere often became deeply calm during the final hours before sleep. Fireplaces burned softly beneath iron kettles, while candlelight moved gently across wooden walls and ceilings, darkened by years of smoke and winter firewood. Families repaired clothing, shared stories, prepared simple meals, or rested quietly beside the warmth of the fire, while storms drifted slowly across the night outside. Children frequently fell asleep first, beside glowing embers, while adults continued speaking softly nearby. Elderly relatives sometimes remained awake slightly longer, listening to weather outside or tending the final firewood before finally retreating to bed themselves. The transition into sleep unfolded gradually, rather than suddenly, shaped by repetitive evening rhythms repeated across generations. Researchers who study the nervous system today increasingly believe that predictable low-stimulation nighttime routines help regulate emotional calmness and relaxation. Ancient towns unintentionally created many of these conditions through darkness, limited lighting, repetitive domestic rituals, and quieter social rhythms after sunset. Even public spaces changed emotionally at night. During winter snowfall, market squares that had once been crowded during daylight hours became silent open spaces beneath moonlight and drifting snow. Narrow streets reflected lantern light softly against wet stone after rainstorms, while fog moved slowly through empty alleyways and quiet canals. In harbour towns, ships rocked gently beside darkened docks, while waves repeated endlessly through the cold night air. Travellers arriving late to these towns often described the peaceful stillness surrounding them after sunset. From distant hills or roads, entire villages appeared only as scattered warm lights glowing softly against enormous darkness beyond the final homes. Above them, the stars remained bright enough to illuminate rooftops, rivers, church towers, and surrounding forests in pale silver light, untouched by modern light pollution. And because the world beyond those small circles of lantern light remained so dark and quiet, people often felt more deeply connected to weather, season, and the movement of the natural world itself. Rainfall, wind, fog, ocean waves, snowfall, distant rivers, and shifting clouds all became part of the emotional atmosphere surrounding nighttime life. For countless generations, human beings ended their days within these quieter towns where darkness was not erased, but gently woven into the rhythm of ordinary life beneath candlelight, moonlight, and the silent turning of the stars overhead. As historians and environmental researchers continued studying the world before modern cities transformed human life, many began realizing that the greatest difference may not have been architecture, transportation, or technology alone. The deepest difference was the overall atmosphere surrounding everyday existence once darkness arrived. Night once created a natural slowing of human activity across entire communities together, allowing silence, weather, candlelight, and rest to shape the emotional rhythm of life in ways modern urban environments rarely preserve anymore. Today, many cities remain active through every hour of the night. Streets glow continuously beneath electric light, while traffic, engines, screens, advertisements, and constant information keep the nervous system surrounded by stimulation long after sunset. Artificial brightness often hides the stars entirely, while the emotional boundary between day and night grows increasingly blurred. But ancient towns experienced darkness differently. Once evening settled fully across rooftops and roads, entire communities gradually softened into stillness. Marketplaces emptied beneath moonlight, fireplaces burned low behind wooden windows. Snowfall absorbed sound across narrow streets, while distant church bells echoed softly through cold night air. Rivers reflected the stars quietly beneath bridges, while forests and hills disappeared gently into darkness beyond the edge of town. Researchers studying circadian biology increasingly believe that the human nervous system evolved within environments far closer to these older rhythms than to the continuously illuminated modern world. gradual transitions into darkness, predictable natural sounds, low warm lighting, and reduced nighttime stimulation appear deeply connected to emotional calmness and healthy sleep regulation even today. Perhaps that is why so many people continue searching for quiet nighttime imagery connected to older worlds. A lantern glowing beside a snowy street, rain moving softly through a medieval village after dark, candlelight flickering behind old windows while fog drifts through silent roads, a peaceful harbor resting beneath moonlight and distant stars. These scenes carry a calm, emotional familiarity that modern cities often struggle to provide continuously. The nervous system seems to recognize them instinctively. There is something deeply peaceful about imagining a town where the night still belongs to darkness, where roads grow silent after snowfall, where waves move gently beside sleeping harbors, and where candlelight glows softly against wooden walls while the stars remain visible overhead. Tonight, we traveled through the quiet rhythm of ancient towns before modern cities transformed the human experience of night forever. We explored candlelit homes, sleeping harbors, moonlit roads, winter snowfall, fog drifting through narrow streets, distant bells echoing through darkness, and peaceful villages resting beneath skies untouched by electric light. And somewhere far beyond the endless brightness of the modern world, there are still places where lanterns glow softly beside silent roads, rivers reflect the stars beneath cold night air, and the peaceful rhythm of older human nights continues quietly beneath the darkness, much as it once did centuries ago. Act 3: Roads Without Noise. Before modern cities filled the world with engines, traffic, illuminated highways, and endless movement through the night, roads carried a very different atmosphere after sunset. Once darkness settled across the landscape, most paths, bridges, countryside roads, and village streets gradually became quiet beneath moonlight and stars. The world slowed naturally because there were fewer reasons, fewer lights, and fewer distractions pulling human activity endlessly forward after evening arrived. In many regions, nighttime roads became almost completely silent once the final travelers reached inns, villages, or resting places before darkness fully deepened. Lanterns glowed softly beside distant homes, while forests, rivers, and open fields disappeared gradually into shadow beyond the narrow roads stretching through the countryside. Researchers studying historical travel often describe how profoundly different human movement felt before industrialization transformed transportation forever. Modern highways remain filled with constant mechanical sound through every hour of the night. But older roads often carried long stretches of complete stillness, interrupted only by wind, rainfall, distant animals, or the slow rhythm of horses moving through darkness beneath the stars. Travel itself unfolded more slowly then. Journeys between towns sometimes lasted days or weeks, depending on weather, terrain, season, and available light. Travelers rested frequently beside roadside inns, monasteries, small villages, or campfires beneath open skies, while storms drifted across forests and hills surrounding the road ahead. And because movement after sunset became more difficult, the emotional experience of nighttime changed entirely once the sun disappeared. Darkness reclaimed the landscape gradually. Moonlight reflected across rivers and wet stone roads after rainstorms. Snowfall softened entire valleys into silence beneath pale winter skies. Fog drifted slowly through forests, while lantern light illuminated only small portions of the road ahead. Beyond those pools of warm light, Hills, trees, and fields faded gently into darkness beneath enormous constellations stretching overhead. Researchers who study environmental psychology today increasingly believe that slower sensory environments help regulate the nervous system more effectively than continuous overstimulation. Ancient roads naturally created these quieter conditions after sunset, because the world itself reduced movement and noise together beneath darkness. Inside roadside inns, travelers often gathered beside fireplaces during cold evenings while wind and rain moved softly outside. Wet coats dried near glowing embers while horses rested quietly in nearby stables. Candlelight flickered across wooden walls, darkened by years of smoke, while warm meals simmered slowly in kitchens filled with the scent of bread, firewood, and winter air drifting through partially open doors. In some regions, monks and pilgrims traveling long distances rested in monasteries where nighttime silence became part of the atmosphere itself. Stone corridors glowed faintly beneath lantern light, while distant bells echoed softly through fog and cold air beyond monastery walls. Entire valleys rested beneath moonlight, while rivers continued flowing quietly through the darkness below. And because the roads themselves became so calm after sunset, travelers often spent long hours listening simply to the world around them. Rain against wagon covers, wind through trees, ocean waves beside coastal roads, snow crunching softly beneath horses moving through winter forests beneath the stars. For countless generations, human beings experienced the night not through glowing highways and endless movement, but through quiet roads, slowly disappearing into darkness, while lanterns flickered gently beside the ancient world at rest. In many parts of the ancient world, nighttime roads carried an atmosphere that modern travelers rarely experience anymore. Once darkness settled fully across forests, valleys, and countryside paths, movement became slower, quieter, and more deeply connected to the surrounding landscape itself. Without electric light guiding every direction, and without the endless sound of engines filling the air, travelers often moved through environments shaped almost entirely by moonlight, weather, and silence. Researchers studying historical transportation frequently note that pre-industrial travel demanded patience in ways modern life often no longer requires. Journeys unfolded gradually across changing terrain and seasons. Travelers paused frequently to rest horses, avoid storms, wait for daylight, or seek shelter before difficult mountain crossings and long stretches of forest road. Because movement itself happened more slowly, people spent far longer observing the atmosphere around them during the night. Moonlight played an especially important role in shaping travel after sunset. During clear nights, roads reflected pale silver light, while rivers, bridges, rooftops, and open fields remained faintly visible beneath the stars. Travelers often timed portions of their journeys around the brightness of the moon itself, particularly in regions where lantern oil and candles remained expensive or difficult to carry over long distances. In colder regions during winter, snowfall transformed nighttime roads into remarkably quiet places. Snow absorbed sound across forests and valleys, while horses moved carefully along frozen paths beneath pale skies glowing softly with reflected moonlight. Travelers arriving late to distant villages sometimes saw only a few lanterns flickering behind frosted windows, while smoke drifted upward into the freezing darkness from sleeping homes below. The emotional atmosphere surrounding those journeys was shaped largely by repetition and stillness rather than urgency. The slow movement of wagon wheels, the rhythm of footsteps against dirt roads, the soft creaking of leather and wood, rain falling steadily across cloaks and lanterns during long stretches of travel through forests and open countryside. These sounds became part of the nighttime experience itself. Researchers who study relaxation today often explain that repetitive sensory patterns can calm the nervous system because they allow awareness to settle gradually rather than constantly shifting between sudden interruptions. Ancient travel environments unintentionally created many of these conditions through rhythmic movement, darkness, predictable natural sound, and the absence of constant stimulation. Roadside inns became especially important within this quieter world. After hours of travel through darkness, the warm glow of lantern light reflecting from distant windows often brought immediate comfort to exhausted travelers moving through rain, fog, snow, or cold wind. Inside, fireplaces crackled softly beneath low wooden ceilings, while warm meals and candlelight created calm, sheltered spaces against the enormous darkness outside. Some inns stood beside rivers, where water continued flowing quietly beneath old stone bridges through the night. Others rested near forests, where wind moved gently through trees, surrounding the building in darkness. Along coastal roads, travelers sometimes fell asleep, listening to distant ocean waves, while lanterns swayed softly beside harbors hidden beneath fog and moonlight. And because the world beyond those small resting places remained so dark and silent, human attention often became more aware of the natural world itself. The stars above the road, the weather moving across the hills, the changing sound of wind through forests, the quiet rhythm of rain continuing through the night while travelers rested beside fading firelight, waiting for morning to arrive once more. As the deepest hours of the night settled across these ancient roads, the world often became extraordinarily still. Villages rested quietly behind darkened windows, while forests stretched outward beneath enormous skies, untouched by artificial light. Rivers reflected moonlight softly beneath old bridges, and distant mountains faded into shadow, while travelers continued slowly through landscapes shaped almost entirely by darkness, weather, and the movement of the stars above them. Researchers studying pre-industrial nighttime environments frequently describe how complete darkness once felt outside towns and villages. Modern highways and cities rarely allow the human eye to experience true night anymore because electric light fills the horizon continuously. But centuries ago, once the final lanterns disappeared behind a traveler on the road, the surrounding world often became almost completely black, except for moonlight, firelight, snowfall, or the stars overhead. Yet many historical descriptions of nighttime travel do not describe constant fear or panic. Instead, they often carry a strange quietness and calmness difficult to imagine within modern urban life. Travelers became deeply familiar with natural rhythms during long journeys. They learned the sound of approaching weather, the feeling of changing wind across valleys, the shifting brightness of moonlight through clouds, and the distant sound of rivers flowing somewhere beyond the darkness beside the road. In forested regions especially, nighttime travel unfolded beneath towering trees, moving softly in the wind, while horses walked carefully along narrow paths illuminated only by lantern light and pale sky above. Rainfall tapped steadily against cloaks and wagon covers, while fog drifted slowly between the trees during colder nights. In open countryside, stars stretched endlessly across the horizon, while fields disappeared silently into darkness around quiet roads winding between sleeping villages. Researchers who study human perception increasingly believe that natural nighttime environments affect attention differently from modern overstimulated spaces. Without endless visual information and artificial brightness demanding constant focus, awareness often expands more slowly and gently. Ancient travelers spent long periods simply observing weather, listening to repetitive natural sounds and moving gradually through darkness beneath changing skies. Roadside monasteries and inns offered moments of warmth and shelter within this vast nighttime world. Lanterns glowing beside distant windows often became visible long before travelers reached the buildings themselves. After hours spent beneath rain, snowfall, or cold wind, the sight of firelight reflecting softly through fog or darkness carried a deep feeling of relief and comfort. Inside these resting places, the atmosphere remained calm and subdued during late hours. Wet boots dried beside fireplaces, while exhausted travelers rested quietly beneath wool blankets and candlelight. Horses settled in nearby stables while storms moved across forests and valleys outside. In some monasteries, bells echoed softly through cold nighttime air, while monks walked silently through stone corridors illuminated by lanterns and moonlight. And because travel itself unfolded slowly, people experienced the night not as something to rush through immediately, but as part of the journey itself. Moonlight, snowfall, rainfall, ocean wind, distant stars, and the quiet rhythm of the road became woven into the emotional atmosphere surrounding movement through the ancient world. For countless generations, human beings traveled beneath skies far darker and quieter than the modern world allows today, moving gently through forests, valleys, rivers, mountain roads, and sleeping villages, while the night settled peacefully around them beneath the stars. As historians and environmental researchers continued studying travel before modern cities transformed the world, many began recognizing that ancient roads carried more than people and goods between distant places. They carried human beings through environments where darkness still belonged fully to the natural world. Night once remained vast, quiet, and emotionally present in ways modern highways and illuminated cities rarely preserve anymore. Today, movement continues almost endlessly after sunset. Highways remain crowded beneath artificial light, while airplanes cross continents through every hour of the night. Cities glow continuously across the horizon, and the sound of engines rarely disappears completely, even during the quietest hours before dawn. The boundary between day and night has become increasingly blurred beneath modern technology and constant movement. But older roads followed different rhythms. Once evening settled across forests, rivers, mountains, and countryside villages, the world gradually slowed together beneath darkness. Travelers sought shelter before storms arrived. Inns glowed softly beside silent roads, while lanterns reflected faintly through rain and fog. Horses rested in nearby stables, while snowfall drifted quietly across rooftops and empty paths beyond the warmth of the firelight inside. Researchers who study circadian biology increasingly believe that the nervous system evolved within environments far closer to these ancient nighttime rhythms than to the endlessly stimulated conditions common today. Gradual darkness, repetitive natural sound, rhythmic movement, low warm lighting, and long periods of quietness appear deeply connected to emotional calmness and healthy transitions into sleep. Perhaps that is why people still feel unexpectedly peaceful while imagining rain against the windows of an old roadside inn, lantern light glowing beside snowy roads, or travelers resting quietly beneath stars, far from the noise of modern cities. These scenes awaken something deeply familiar inside the mind because they resemble the slower atmosphere surrounding human nights for most of history. There is something profoundly calming about roads untouched by traffic and electric light, about forests moving softly in the wind beneath moonlit skies, about distant rivers flowing quietly through darkness, while travelers rest beside fading fireplaces, waiting for morning to return. Tonight, we traveled through the silent roads of the ancient world, before modern cities transformed the human experience of movement and night forever. We explored lantern-lit inns, snowy forests, moonlit rivers, fog drifting across empty roads, monastery corridors, horse-drawn journeys, rainfall moving through darkness, and the quiet rhythm of travel beneath skies filled with stars untouched by artificial light. And somewhere far beyond the endless highways and glowing skylines of the modern world, there are still quiet roads where lanterns flicker softly beside old windows. Rain drifts through forests beneath the night sky, and the peaceful rhythm of ancient travel continues slowly beneath the darkness, much as it once did centuries ago. Act 4. The silence before machines. Before modern cities filled the world with engines, factories, electrical systems, and endless mechanical sound, human beings lived within a much quieter atmosphere than most people experience today. The ordinary background noise of life once came primarily from weather, water, wind, animals, footsteps, distant voices, firewood, and the slow movement of nature itself, rather than from machines operating continuously through day and night. Researchers studying environmental sound often describe the modern world as one of constant low-level stimulation. Even quiet cities contain traffic in the distance, electrical hums inside buildings, refrigeration systems, engines, aircraft, electronic devices, construction noise, and countless mechanical sounds blending together into an almost permanent layer of background activity. But for most of human history, silence remained far more common. In ancient towns and countryside villages, entire landscapes could become remarkably still after sunset. Once marketplaces closed and roads emptied beneath darkness, the world often quieted almost completely, except for rain moving across rooftops, rivers flowing beside sleeping homes, wind drifting through forests, or the occasional sound of horses crossing distant stone roads beneath lantern light. This quieter world shaped the emotional atmosphere of human life in profound ways. Researchers increasingly believe that the nervous system responds differently in environments where sound arrives gradually and predictably rather than continuously through sudden mechanical interruption. Natural soundscapes tend to contain rhythm, repetition, and softness. Rainfall continues steadily, ocean waves repeat endlessly, wind rises and fades gently through trees and fields. Firewood crackles beside fading embers, while distant church bells echo softly through cold night air before silence returns again. These sounds rarely demand urgent attention from the brain. Modern mechanical environments often function differently. Engines, alarms, phones, traffic, and electronic notifications repeatedly interrupt attention, keeping the nervous system partially alert even during periods intended for rest. Ancient communities, by contrast, experienced long stretches where nothing mechanical pulled awareness outward continuously. Inside homes before industrialization, evenings often unfolded within extraordinary quietness by modern standards. Candlelight illuminated only portions of a room, while family members rested beside fireplaces after long days shaped by physical labor and natural daylight. Conversations softened gradually into silence, while storms drifted outside beyond wooden walls and darkened windows. During winter, snowfall sometimes covered entire towns, with an almost complete stillness beneath moonlight and stars. Footsteps became muffled beneath fresh snow, while smoke drifted slowly upward from chimneys into freezing night air. In fishing villages beside the sea, waves rolled quietly against docks, while lanterns reflected softly across black water beneath enormous skies untouched by modern light pollution. Researchers studying human relaxation often note that environments combining darkness, low, warm lighting, predictable sound, and reduced sensory stimulation tend to calm the nervous system naturally. Ancient towns unintentionally created many of these conditions simply because technology had not yet filled the world with continuous mechanical activity. And because silence itself remained more common, people often noticed small sounds more deeply than modern life usually allows. Rain beginning against rooftops, wind shifting outside, rivers flowing through darkness, horses moving quietly through distant roads after midnight. The final crackling embers inside a fireplace before sleep slowly arrived. For countless generations, human beings lived within this quieter atmosphere where the night belonged not to machines and endless movement, but to weather, darkness, candlelight, stars, and the peaceful silence of the ancient world. In many ancient towns and villages, silence was not treated as something unusual or uncomfortable. It existed naturally within daily life, especially after sunset, when darkness gradually reduced movement across roads, marketplaces, farms, and harbors. Without constant mechanical sounds surrounding every moment, people became far more aware of subtle changes within the environment itself. Shifting wind, distant rainfall, footsteps across stone streets, the movement of rivers beyond sleeping homes, or the soft creaking of wooden buildings settling during cold nights. Researchers studying modern sound environments often explain that many people today rarely experience true silence for extended periods. Even in relatively calm urban spaces, there is usually some level of continuous stimulation present in the background. Electrical systems hum quietly inside walls, traffic moves somewhere in the distance, phones vibrate, airplanes cross overhead, screens emit sound and light even during the quietest hours of the evening. But before industrialization transformed human settlements, entire communities sometimes passed through long stretches of near-complete stillness once the day ended. In countryside villages during winter, snowfall absorbed sound so effectively that roads, rooftops, and forests could feel suspended beneath silence after dark. Lantern light reflected softly against fresh snow, while smoke drifted upward from chimneys into pale moonlit skies. Families rested beside fireplaces, listening quietly to wind moving outside, while distant church bells occasionally echoed through frozen valleys before disappearing once more into the night. In fishing towns beside the sea, silence carried a different atmosphere. Waves repeated gently against harbor walls, while fog drifted slowly between sleeping boats beneath lantern light reflected across dark water. During calm nights, sailors resting aboard ships often heard only the slow movement of the ocean itself surrounding them beneath enormous skies filled with stars. Researchers increasingly believe that these quieter sensory environments may have affected emotional regulation in important ways. Predictable low-intensity sound allows the nervous system to remain relaxed because awareness does not need to prepare constantly for sudden interruption. The brain can gradually drift toward rest when the surrounding environment feels stable and non-threatening. Even ordinary nighttime activities unfolded more softly within this world before machines became constant companions of human life. Candles were extinguished carefully one by one before sleep. Firewood settled into glowing embers beneath iron fireplaces. Footsteps moved slowly through narrow streets, while lanterns illuminated only small sections of road surrounded by darkness. Conversations became quieter naturally, because silence itself remained present around every sound. Travelers arriving late to ancient towns often described hearing very little once they passed beyond the final roadside activity before entering sleeping villages after dark. The sound of horses crossing stone bridges, rainfall moving steadily through empty streets, water flowing beneath old mills, wind drifting through distant trees outside town walls. These became the atmosphere of the night itself. And because silence remained so deeply woven into ordinary life, human beings often experienced darkness differently from modern populations, surrounded continuously by artificial stimulation. The night felt slower, larger, more spacious. Entire landscapes rested beneath moonlight and stars, while villages drifted quietly into sleep within a world where the natural sounds of wind, rain, rivers, and firelight still shaped the emotional rhythm of human rest. As the night deepened across the ancient world, silence often became one of the most powerful parts of the human experience itself. Not an empty silence filled with tension, but a softer kind shaped by distance, darkness, weather, and the gradual slowing of life after sunset. Entire towns rested beneath moonlight while roads disappeared into shadow, and the final sounds of ordinary activity faded quietly into the night air. Researchers studying historical environments frequently note that before industrialization, many people lived with far greater awareness of natural sound and natural quietness than modern populations usually do today. Without constant mechanical noise masking the environment, the smallest details became more noticeable. Rain beginning softly against rooftops, the sound of river water moving beneath bridges after midnight, wind drifting through forests outside town walls, snowfall settling silently across roads and rooftops beneath pale winter skies. Inside homes, silence often unfolded gradually beside candlelight and firelight. Families gathered near fireplaces while storms moved outside beyond darkened windows. Conversations slowed naturally as exhaustion settled across the room after long days shaped by physical labor and daylight itself. Children drifted asleep beneath warm blankets, while adults listened quietly to weather outside or watched glowing embers shifting softly beneath layers of ash. Researchers who study the nervous system increasingly believe that low-stimulation nighttime environments may help regulate emotional calmness more effectively than modern settings filled with constant information and interruption. Ancient evenings unintentionally created these conditions through darkness, predictable sound, limited lighting, and long stretches of quietness surrounding ordinary life after sunset. Even public spaces carried a remarkable stillness during late hours. Market squares that had once been crowded during the day became empty beneath lantern light and drifting fog. Harbor towns rested beside black water reflecting moonlight and distant stars. Snow-covered roads stretched silently between villages, while forests remained motionless beneath the cold night sky. Travelers moving through these landscapes after dark often described hearing sounds from astonishing distances once the world became quiet. Church bells echoing across valleys, horses moving along roads far beyond the visible horizon, ocean waves reaching coastal cliffs beneath moonlit skies, wind passing through trees somewhere deep within surrounding forests. And because silence itself remained more common, people often experienced the natural world with greater emotional immediacy. The night did not feel separated from human life by walls of artificial sound and electric brightness. Instead, darkness, weather, rivers, snowfall, wind, ocean air, and distant stars all remained deeply present within ordinary human experience. Researchers today increasingly believe that the modern nervous system still responds powerfully to environments resembling these older nighttime conditions. Quiet cabins during snowfall, rain moving softly through forests, fireplaces glowing beside darkened rooms, ocean waves repeating endlessly beneath moonlight. These scenes continue calming people because they echo sensory rhythms human beings once knew intimately for thousands of years before machines transformed the emotional atmosphere of the night forever. For countless generations, human beings closed their eyes within a world where silence remained natural, darkness remained visible, and the peaceful sounds of weather and firelight slowly guided entire communities towards sleep beneath the stars. As historians, neuroscientists, and environmental researchers continued studying the world before machines transformed human life, many began realizing that silence itself may once have played a much larger role in emotional well-being than modern societies often recognize today. For thousands of years, human beings lived within environments where the nervous system regularly experienced long, uninterrupted periods of darkness, predictable sound, low sensory intensity, and genuine stillness after sunset. Modern life rarely allows those conditions to remain present for very long. Even during the quietest hours of the night, cities continue vibrating softly with electrical systems, engines, traffic, glowing screens, distant machinery, and constant movement somewhere beyond the walls of the home. Artificial stimulation surrounds the nervous system almost continuously, reducing the contrast between day and night that shaped human experience for most of history. But ancient towns followed a slower rhythm. Once darkness settled across roads, rivers, forests, and sleeping villages, the world often became profoundly calm beneath candlelight and moonlight. Fires burned low inside wooden homes, while rain moved softly through narrow streets outside. Snowfall absorbed sound across valleys and rooftops. Ocean waves repeated endlessly beside quiet harbors, while distant bells echoed gently through cold night air before silence returned again. Researchers studying circadian biology increasingly believe that the nervous system evolved within environments far closer to these older nighttime rhythms than to the endlessly stimulated conditions of modern urban life. Predictable natural sound, gradual darkness, warm, low lighting, rhythmic movement, and long stretches of quietness appear deeply connected to relaxation and emotional regulation, because they surrounded human rest for generation after generation across thousands of years. Perhaps that is why modern people continue searching for fragments of this quieter world, even now. A candle glowing beside a rainy window, a snowstorm surrounding a silent cabin, the sound of ocean waves beneath moonlight, firewood crackling softly during winter evenings, a distant train moving slowly through the night while the world outside fades into darkness. These atmospheres feel comforting not simply because they are beautiful, but because they resemble environments the human nervous system once understood as normal. There is something deeply calming about imagining a world where the night still belongs to silence, where roads grow empty after snowfall, where rivers move quietly beneath moonlit bridges, where lantern light flickers softly through fog, while entire villages drift peacefully into sleep beneath star-filled skies, untouched by modern brightness. Tonight, we traveled through the silence of the ancient world before machines and modern cities transformed the emotional atmosphere of human life forever. We explored quiet villages, snowy roads, sleeping harbors, candlelit homes, distant bells, rainfall moving through darkness, forests beneath moonlight, and the softer rhythm of nights once shaped almost entirely by nature itself. And somewhere far beyond the endless sound of modern life, there are still quiet places where wind drifts softly through trees beneath the stars. Fireplaces glow against darkened windows, and the peaceful silence of the old world continues gently through the night, much as it once did centuries ago. Act 5. Candlelight and the Human Mind. Before electricity transformed the modern world, human beings spent nearly every evening surrounded not by bright artificial illumination, but by the softer glow of candles, lanterns, fireplaces, oil lamps, and moonlight. For thousands of years, firelight shaped the emotional atmosphere of the night itself, influencing how people gathered, rested, spoke, traveled, reflected, and slowly drifted towards sleep after darkness settled across the world. Researchers studying historical nighttime environments often describe candlelight as fundamentally different from modern artificial lighting in both intensity and emotional effect. Electric light floods entire rooms with consistent brightness, extending activity far beyond sunset and keeping the nervous system stimulated deep into the night. Candlelight, by contrast, illuminated only small portions of the environment, while leaving the edges of rooms softened by shadow and darkness. This created a very different relationship between human beings and the night. Inside ancient homes, evenings unfolded within small circles of warm amber light, surrounded by stillness. Fireplaces glowed softly against wooden walls while candles flickered gently across tables, books, windows, and sleeping rooms. Shadows moved slowly across ceilings while rain drifted through darkness outside, beyond the limited reach of the flame. Researchers who study relaxation increasingly believe that warm, low lighting helps calm the nervous system more effectively than bright artificial illumination because it resembles the environmental conditions surrounding human evenings for most of history. Firelight produces softer tones, slower movement, and lower visual intensity, allowing the brain to transition gradually toward rest, rather than remaining continuously alert. In medieval towns and countryside villages, candles themselves remained valuable objects carefully used throughout the evening. Wax, oil, and lamp fuel required labor and resources, meaning light was rarely wasted unnecessarily. Families gathered close together within the illuminated spaces, while much of the surrounding home remained dark and quiet. This naturally encouraged slower and more intimate nighttime behavior. Conversations became softer. Reading unfolded calmly beside fireplaces. Storytelling, sewing, prayer, music, and quiet reflection often filled the final hours before sleep, while the outside world disappeared into darkness beyond the windows. Without endless brightness, keeping every corner of life active, the human mind gradually settled alongside the dimming evening itself. Researchers studying circadian biology today increasingly believe that artificial light after sunset may strongly affect melatonin production and sleep regulation. Ancient communities, however, experienced far lower nighttime light exposure than modern populations do now. As candle flames dimmed and fireplaces burned low, the body naturally received signals that darkness had arrived fully and rest was approaching. In monasteries, long stone corridors glowed faintly beneath lantern light, while monks moved quietly through silence during late-night prayer. In harbor towns, lanterns reflected softly across black water beside sleeping ships beneath enormous skies filled with stars. In mountain villages during winter, snow reflected pale moonlight across rooftops, while warm firelight flickered gently through frosted windows against the freezing darkness outside. And because the world beyond those small pools of candlelight remained so dark and still, people often experienced the night with a greater sense of calmness, slowness, and quiet attention than the modern world, continuously illuminated by electric light, usually allows today. In many ancient homes, candlelight did more than simply illuminate darkness. It shaped the emotional rhythm of the evening itself. The limited reach of a flame naturally encouraged people to gather closely together, while much of the surrounding room remained quiet and dim beyond the edges of the light. Fireplaces and candles created small islands of warmth and visibility inside a world otherwise surrendered to the night outside. Researchers studying human perception often note that low, warm lighting changes the way the nervous system responds to the environment. Bright artificial light tends to increase alertness and visual stimulation, while softer amber light allows the brain to relax more gradually. For most of human history, evenings unfolded almost entirely beneath these calmer forms of illumination. Inside medieval cottages, fishing villages, mountain homes, and countryside inns, the atmosphere surrounding candlelight often became deeply peaceful during the final hours before sleep. Rain tapped softly against rooftops while firewood crackled beside glowing embers. Families repaired clothing, prepared simple meals, spoke quietly, or simply rested beside the warmth of the fire after long days shaped by physical labor and natural daylight. Because candles remained valuable, people used them carefully. Entire rooms were rarely illuminated brightly. Instead, shadows moved gently across wooden walls and ceilings, while the surrounding darkness remained present within the home itself. Researchers increasingly believe that this gradual transition into low-light environments may have helped the nervous system prepare more naturally for sleep, compared to the brightly illuminated nights common in modern cities. Even public spaces felt different beneath candlelight. Narrow roads reflected lantern glow softly after rainstorms, while fog drifted slowly between old stone buildings during winter evenings. Harbor towns rested beneath scattered lights, reflecting across dark water, while ships drifted quietly beside silent docks. In monasteries, candlelit hallways echoed softly with distant footsteps, while snowfall settled beyond the windows beneath pale moonlight and stars. Travelers arriving late to inns after long journeys often described the emotional comfort created simply by seeing warm light glowing through darkness ahead. After hours spent beneath rain, snow, forest wind, or cold open roads, the sight of candlelight reflecting from distant windows carried a powerful sense of shelter and calmness. Researchers studying environmental psychology today often explain that human beings naturally associate warm light with safety, rest, and emotional comfort. For thousands of years, firelight and candlelight represented warmth against winter cold, companionship against darkness, and protection within a world where night remained vast and largely unilluminated. And because artificial brightness had not yet overwhelmed the night completely, darkness itself still carried a quiet emotional presence around every flame. Beyond the windows of homes and inns, forests disappeared into shadow beneath moonlit skies, while rivers reflected distant stars through the cold night air. Wind moved softly through sleeping villages, while lanterns flickered gently beside narrow roads, growing quieter with every passing hour. For countless generations, human beings ended their evenings within these calmer worlds of firelight, shadow, rainfall, snowfall, silence, and slow glowing candles, while the ancient night settled peacefully around them beyond the warmth of the flame. As the night deepened within these candlelit worlds, the human mind often entered a slower and more reflective state, shaped by darkness, warmth, and the gentle rhythm of firelight itself. Without bright artificial illumination extending activity endlessly after sunset, evenings naturally became quieter and more contemplative. The world outside disappeared gradually into shadow, while attention turned inward toward conversation, memory, prayer, storytelling, and rest. Researchers studying the psychology of light increasingly believe that firelight may affect emotional regulation differently from modern electrical lighting because of its movement, warmth, and lower intensity. Candle flames flicker softly rather than remaining perfectly fixed, creating subtle visual rhythms that the nervous system appears to experience as calming rather than overstimulating. For thousands of years, these slow shifting patterns of light surrounded nearly every human evening. Inside homes before industrialization, shadows moved gently across walls, while glowing embers illuminated rooms with warm amber tones against the darkness beyond the windows. Rainfall continued steadily outside, while families rested beside fireplaces after long days of physical labor. Children drifted asleep near the warmth of the fire, while adults remained awake slightly longer, speaking quietly or watching storms move slowly through the night. Researchers who study sleep today often note that modern humans are exposed to far more artificial brightness after sunset than the nervous system evolved to process naturally. Electric light suppresses melatonin production and extends alertness deep into the night. Candlelight, by contrast, provided enough illumination for simple evening activity while still allowing darkness to remain emotionally present around human life. This balance may have shaped the atmosphere of rest itself for countless generations. In monasteries and religious communities, candlelight often carried spiritual significance as well as practical function. Stone corridors glowed softly beneath lanterns, while monks moved quietly through silence during nighttime prayer. Ancient libraries flickered with small pools of warm light, while snow and wind drifted beyond thick walls beneath the stars. Entire buildings rested within darkness, except for isolated candles illuminating narrow hallways, wooden tables, or quiet chapels during the deepest hours of the night. In harbor towns beside the sea, lanterns swayed gently above dark water, while distant waves repeated softly against docks and wooden ships. Fog moved through sleeping streets, while candlelight reflected faintly from windows overlooking silent harbors beneath moonlit skies. In mountain villages during winter, snow covered rooftops and roads beneath pale blue darkness, while fireplaces glowed warmly against frozen air outside. Travelers crossing countryside roads often described the emotional relief created by even the smallest distant light, visible through rain, fog, or snowfall after long hours beneath darkness. A single lantern beside a roadside inn could transform the atmosphere of an entire journey, turning cold open roads into spaces of warmth, shelter, and quiet rest. And because so much of the world remained dark beyond those scattered flames, human beings experienced light differently than modern societies often do now. Candlelight did not overpower the night. It existed gently within it. The stars remained visible overhead. Moonlight still reached rivers, forests, rooftops, and sleeping roads beyond the windows of the home. For countless generations, the final hours before sleep unfolded beside these small glowing lights, while storms drifted softly across the darkness outside, and the ancient world settled slowly into silence beneath the stars. As historians, neuroscientists, and environmental researchers continued exploring the role of candlelight and firelight in human history, many began recognizing that the ancient relationship between darkness and illumination shaped far more than simple visibility after sunset. It shaped emotional rhythm, social behavior, sleep patterns, relaxation, and the entire atmosphere surrounding human evenings for thousands of years before electricity transformed the modern world. Today, artificial brightness surrounds most people continuously. Streets remain illuminated through the entire night, while screens, advertisements, buildings, headlights, and electronic devices flood the nervous system with stimulation long after darkness arrives outside. Modern light often removes the gradual transition between day and night that once guided human beings gently toward rest. But in older worlds, candlelight existed within darkness rather than replacing it completely. Once evening settled across villages, harbors, forests, and countryside roads, small flames flickered softly beside windows, while most of the surrounding landscape disappeared into shadow beneath moonlight and stars. Fireplaces glowed warmly against wooden walls, while rain moved through silent streets outside. Snowfall reflected pale blue light across rooftops and empty roads, while lanterns swayed gently beside quiet inns and sleeping ships. Researchers studying circadian biology increasingly believe that the nervous system evolved within environments shaped by low, warm evening light, rather than the intense artificial illumination common today. Candlelight allowed human beings to remain socially connected after sunset, while still preserving the emotional presence of darkness itself. The body received gradual signals that nighttime had arrived fully and rest was approaching naturally. Perhaps that is why modern people continue feeling deeply comforted by fireplaces, candles, lanterns, and warm amber light during the evening. Even now, many people instinctively dim lights before sleep, light candles during storms or winter nights, or seek environments illuminated softly rather than harshly after dark. The nervous system seems to recognize these older atmospheres instinctively. There is something profoundly peaceful about a quiet room, glowing gently beside rainfall outside the window, about a lantern reflecting softly across snowy roads beneath moonlit skies, about candlelight flickering against old wooden walls, while wind moves through distant trees beyond the darkness. These scenes feel calming not only because they are beautiful, but because they resemble the visual rhythm surrounding human evenings for generation after generation across most of history. Tonight, we traveled through the candlelit world before electricity transformed the human experience of night forever. We explored quiet homes beside fireplaces, lantern-lit harbors, monastery corridors, snowy villages, roadside inns, rainstorms moving through darkness, and the softer glow of evenings once illuminated almost entirely by flame and moonlight. And somewhere far beyond the endless brightness of modern cities, There are still quiet places where candles flicker beside old windows, lanterns glow softly through snowfall, fireplaces warm silent rooms during storms, and the peaceful light of the ancient world continues gently beneath the darkness, much as it once did centuries ago. Act 6. Nights beneath the stars. Before modern cities filled the sky with artificial brightness, the stars formed one of the most familiar and constant parts of human nighttime life. For thousands of years, people ended their days beneath skies far darker and clearer than most modern populations ever experience today. Villages rested quietly beneath constellations, stretching from horizon to horizon, while moonlight reflected across rivers, forests, mountain roads, oceans, and sleeping rooftops below. Researchers studying historical astronomy and environmental light often note that pre-industrial night skies appeared astonishingly bright compared to modern urban environments. Without electrical illumination flooding the atmosphere continuously, the Milky Way spread clearly across the darkness like a pale river of light above the world. Stars reflected softly across lakes and calm seas, while distant mountains remained faintly visible beneath moonlit skies, untouched by artificial glow. For many ancient communities, the night sky was not something observed occasionally. It remained woven into ordinary daily life itself. Farmers followed seasonal constellations while planning planting and harvest cycles. Sailors navigated enormous oceans beneath the stars for centuries before modern instruments transformed navigation. Travelers crossing countryside roads relied on moonlight and familiar celestial patterns while moving between distant villages through darkness. In fishing towns beside the sea, lanterns reflected softly across black water, while constellations shimmered overhead beyond the silent harbor. Researchers increasingly believe that human beings evolved for thousands of years within environments where darkness remained visible, and the night sky itself played a continuous role in regulating emotional and biological rhythms. Exposure to natural darkness allowed melatonin production to follow predictable cycles, while moonlight and starlight created softer nighttime illumination than the overwhelming brightness common in modern cities today. In mountain villages during winter, stars often appeared extraordinarily sharp above snow-covered landscapes, where silence stretched across forests and frozen roads beneath pale moonlight. Smoke drifted upward from chimneys, while warm candlelight glowed behind frosted windows, far below the enormous darkness overhead. In open countryside, travelers resting beside campfires watched constellations move slowly across the sky, while wind drifted softly through surrounding fields and trees. The emotional atmosphere of these nights was shaped not only by darkness itself, but by the scale of the sky above them. Without skyscrapers, highways, electrical signs, and constant urban brightness interrupting the horizon, human beings often experienced a much stronger sense of openness beneath the stars. Researchers who study environmental psychology frequently note that open natural landscapes can affect emotional regulation by reducing sensory overload and encouraging calmer states of awareness. Ancient nighttime environments naturally created these conditions through silence, darkness, distance, and the slow movement of celestial light overhead. Inside homes, the stars remained present even indirectly. Moonlight entered through small windows, while families rested beside fireplaces listening to wind, rainfall, or distant rivers moving through the darkness outside. In monasteries, candlelit corridors opened toward quiet courtyards beneath cold night skies, filled with stars above silent stone walls. And because the world itself became so much darker after sunset, the stars carried a stronger emotional presence within ordinary life than modern urban environments usually allow today. Entire villages drifted quietly into sleep beneath skies bright enough to illuminate rooftops, forests, rivers, and open roads, while the ancient world rested peacefully beneath the slow turning of the constellations overhead. For countless generations, human beings developed an intimate familiarity with the night sky that modern life has gradually dimmed beneath artificial light and expanding cities. The stars once served not only as objects of wonder, but as practical companions guiding travel, marking seasons, shaping myths, inspiring stories, and quietly accompanying ordinary human life after sunset. Researchers studying ancient civilizations often note how deeply connected people once were to celestial rhythms. In farming communities, the appearance of certain constellations signaled changing weather, planting seasons, harvest periods, and the gradual movement of the year itself. Sailors crossing oceans depended on the stars to navigate safely through darkness long before modern instruments transformed sea travel. Travelers moving through forests, deserts, valleys, and mountain roads learned to orient themselves beneath moonlight and familiar patterns overhead. But beyond practicality, the stars also shaped the emotional atmosphere of nighttime life. Before modern cities illuminated the sky continuously, darkness itself remained softer and more complete. Once candles dimmed and roads emptied after sunset, the heavens above became astonishingly visible. The Milky Way stretched clearly across the night, while rivers reflected starlight through silent valleys, and quiet harbor towns rested beneath skies filled with thousands of visible stars. Researchers who study environmental psychology increasingly believe that exposure to large, open natural environments can calm the nervous system by reducing visual overstimulation and encouraging slower patterns of attention. Ancient nighttime landscapes naturally provided these conditions. Open skies, distant horizons, moonlit roads, snowfall beneath stars, ocean reflections, and long stretches of darkness allowed awareness to expand gently rather than remaining trapped within constant sensory intensity. In coastal villages beside the sea, fishermen often departed before dawn, beneath stars reflected across black water, while the rest of the town remained asleep behind dim, lantern-lit windows. Waves moved quietly against wooden docks, while fog drifted slowly through silent harbors beneath the cold night sky. In mountain regions, snowfall reflected pale moonlight across forests and rooftops, while constellations appeared almost impossibly sharp above frozen valleys. Travelers sleeping outdoors experienced these skies even more directly. Campfires glowed softly against darkness, while horses rested nearby beneath slowly moving constellations overhead. Wind drifted through grasslands and pine forests, while rivers continued flowing quietly somewhere beyond the edge of the firelight. In the deepest hours of the night, the stars often became the brightest visible presence in the world around them. Researchers studying circadian biology today increasingly believe that the absence of artificial nighttime light once played an important role in regulating sleep and emotional rhythms. Human beings evolved within environments where true darkness still existed and where the stars remained visible nearly every clear night across most of the planet. Even inside homes and monasteries, the sky remained emotionally present. Moonlight entered through narrow windows, while candlelight flickered softly beside stone walls and wooden floors. Rainstorms passed beneath constellations hidden behind clouds, while distant church bells echoed quietly through cold night air beneath the darkness overhead. And because human beings lived far more closely connected to natural cycles than modern urban populations often do now, the stars carried a sense of continuity and calmness woven deeply into ordinary life itself. Night after night, generation after generation, entire communities rested beneath the same silent constellations, slowly crossing the ancient sky above the sleeping world below. As the deepest hours of the night settled across the ancient world, the stars often became even more vivid against the darkness surrounding sleeping towns, forests, oceans, and open countryside. Without artificial light washing across the horizon, the sky appeared immense and alive above human life, stretching endlessly beyond rivers, rooftops, mountain peaks, and quiet roads fading into shadow below. Researchers studying historical accounts of nighttime life frequently describe how profoundly different darkness once felt before modern illumination transformed the sky itself. Today, millions of people rarely see more than a small number of stars through the glow of cities and electrical light. But centuries ago, even ordinary villages existed beneath skies, crowded with constellations bright enough to cast faint light across fields, rivers, and distant hills during clear nights. For many people, this relationship with the stars created a deeper awareness of time and stillness. The movement of the heavens unfolded slowly and predictably above the world, while human activity below gradually faded into silence after sunset. Travelers resting beside campfires watched constellations drift across the sky, while wind moved gently through surrounding forests and grasslands. Sailors crossing quiet seas beneath moonlight observed stars reflected endlessly across black water, stretching into darkness around the ship. Researchers who study relaxation and emotional regulation increasingly believe that large, open natural spaces can encourage calmer mental states by reducing cognitive overload and shifting attention away from constant interruption. Ancient nighttime landscapes naturally provided this experience through silence, distance, darkness, and the immense visual openness of the sky itself. In winter, the stars often appeared especially sharp above snow-covered villages, where sound became softened beneath layers of fresh snowfall. Lantern light glowed warmly through frosted windows, while smoke drifted upward into cold air beneath pale constellations stretching across the darkness overhead. In desert regions, travelers sleeping beside fading embers watched the Milky Way spread across the night sky with astonishing clarity, while cool wind moved slowly across empty landscapes beneath the stars. Even religious and philosophical traditions throughout history were shaped by this intimate connection with the night sky. Monasteries, temples, observatories, and ancient libraries often became places where human beings contemplated the movement of stars and the quiet vastness surrounding the world after dark. Candlelit scholars studied celestial patterns, while silence settled across courtyards and stone halls beneath moonlit skies. Researchers today increasingly recognize how dramatically artificial light has changed human perception of nighttime itself. Modern cities often separate people almost entirely from the visual experience of true darkness and the stars above them. Yet the emotional response many people still feel while standing beneath clear night skies suggests that the nervous system retains a deep connection to these older environments. There is something profoundly calming about watching stars emerge slowly above forests, mountains, oceans, or quiet villages after sunset. Something peaceful about seeing moonlight reflect softly across rivers and rooftops while the world grows silent beneath the night sky. Something timeless about imagining generations of human beings resting beneath the same constellations long before modern cities filled the darkness with endless light. For countless centuries, the stars remained part of ordinary human nights, quietly accompanying travelers, sailors, villagers, monks, fishermen, and families, while the ancient world drifted peacefully into sleep beneath the silent turning heavens above. As historians, astronomers, neuroscientists, and environmental researchers continued studying life before modern cities transformed the night forever, many began realizing that humanity's ancient relationship with the stars shaped emotional life in ways modern environments rarely preserve anymore. For thousands of years, nearly every human being lived beneath skies where darkness remained visible, where constellations stretched clearly overhead, and where the night itself carried a sense of openness and stillness, now largely hidden behind artificial light. Modern cities changed that relationship profoundly. Today, electrical illumination fills the horizon continuously, while skyscrapers, highways, advertisements, and urban glow often erase the stars almost completely from view. Many people spend entire months without experiencing true darkness or seeing the Milky Way clearly above them. The night sky that accompanied human life for countless generations has gradually faded behind modern brightness. But the nervous system may still remember those older nights. Researchers studying environmental psychology increasingly believe that open natural environments can reduce stress and cognitive overload by allowing attention to move more slowly and gently. Ancient nighttime landscapes naturally provided these experiences. Villages rested beneath enormous skies, while rivers reflected moonlight quietly through darkness. Travelers crossed silent roads beneath constellations, stretching endlessly above forests and mountains. Sailors drifted through black oceans, guided only by stars and wind beneath the calm movement of the heavens. These environments encouraged a very different emotional atmosphere from the modern world of constant stimulation and illuminated horizons. Inside homes, candlelight flickered softly while the stars remained visible beyond small windows. Rainstorms passed slowly across moonlit landscapes while entire communities slept beneath darkness untouched by electrical glow. In monasteries, scholars and monks walked silently through courtyards beneath winter skies filled with stars, while distant bells echoed through cold night air. Perhaps that is why modern people still feel unexpectedly peaceful while standing beneath clear night skies, far from cities. Something inside the mind responds instinctively to silence, darkness, distance, and the quiet movement of stars overhead. These experiences resemble the environment surrounding human evenings for most of history before artificial light transformed the emotional texture of the night itself. There is something deeply calming about imagining a quiet village beneath snowfall and constellations, about lanterns glowing softly beside rivers under moonlit skies, about travelers resting beside fading campfires while stars drift slowly above forests and silent roads. These images feel familiar because human beings once lived within them, night after night for generation after generation. Tonight, we traveled beneath the stars of the ancient world before modern cities erased much of the natural night sky forever. We explored moonlit villages, snowy valleys, silent harbors, campfires beside distant roads, monasteries beneath winter constellations, and the peaceful darkness that once surrounded human life after sunset across most of the earth. And somewhere far beyond the endless glow of modern skylines, there are still quiet places where the stars remain bright above forests, oceans, mountains, and sleeping villages, while the ancient rhythm of darkness and silence continues gently beneath the night sky, much as it once did centuries ago. Act 7. Sleeping while the world grew quiet. Before modern cities learned to remain awake endlessly through the night, there was a moment each evening when entire communities slowly surrendered themselves to silence. Roads emptied beneath darkness, while lanterns glowed softly beside narrow streets and quiet village windows. Fires burned low inside homes as rain drifted gently across rooftops, and distant rivers continued flowing beneath moonlit skies. The world itself seemed to slow together once daylight disappeared, allowing the atmosphere of the night to settle gradually across forests, harbors, monasteries, countryside roads, and sleeping towns. Researchers studying pre-industrial life often note that nighttime once created a far stronger emotional separation between activity and rest than modern society usually experiences today. Without electrical systems extending daytime indefinitely, human beings followed rhythms closely shaped by sunset, weather, seasonal change, and natural darkness itself. Evening gradually reduced movement, conversation, labor, and stimulation across entire communities. Shops closed, marketplaces emptied, horses disappeared from the roads. Candlelight dimmed behind wooden windows while the sounds of ordinary daytime activity softened little by little into stillness. Inside homes, the final hours before sleep unfolded slowly beside firelight and candlelight. Families gathered near fireplaces beneath warm blankets while storms moved quietly outside beyond darkened windows, and cold night air drifted across silent streets. Children often fell asleep first, beside glowing embers, while adults spoke softly nearby or simply rested, listening to weather moving through the darkness outside. The transition into sleep rarely felt sudden because the world itself gradually became calmer around them. Researchers studying circadian biology increasingly believe that the nervous system evolved within environments where darkness naturally encouraged the body toward rest over several peaceful hours, rather than forcing an abrupt transition from overstimulation into sleep. Ancient evenings unintentionally created many of these calmer conditions through reduced lighting, predictable sound, repetitive routines, and the gradual disappearance of activity from the surrounding environment after sunset. Even the sounds of the night carried a softer emotional atmosphere before modern cities filled the world with constant mechanical noise. Rainfall tapped gently against rooftops, while wind moved through forests surrounding sleeping villages. Ocean waves repeated endlessly beside quiet harbors beneath moonlight, while snowfall absorbed sound across empty roads during winter nights. Distant church bells occasionally echoed through cold air before silence returned once more across rivers, rooftops, and darkened fields beneath the stars. In harbor towns beside the sea, lanterns reflected softly across black water, while ships rested quietly at anchor beneath enormous skies untouched by artificial light. In mountain villages during winter, snow covered rooftops and forests beneath pale moonlight, while warm firelight glowed behind frosted windows against the freezing darkness outside. In monasteries, Silence settled slowly through stone corridors, while distant wind drifted softly beyond ancient walls beneath the night sky. And because entire communities slowed together once evening fully arrived, sleep itself often felt woven naturally into the rhythm of the world around them. Darkness spread gently across roads, villages, rivers, forests, and open countryside, while human beings drifted gradually toward rest within a quieter atmosphere shaped by candlelight, weather, stars, and silence, rather than endless stimulation. For countless generations, this was the emotional rhythm of the night, a slow surrender into stillness while the ancient world grew peaceful beneath the darkness overhead. In many ancient towns and countryside villages, sleep arrived gradually because the entire environment surrounding people slowed together after sunset. Darkness reduced activity naturally, while candlelight softened inside homes, and silence spread little by little across roads, harbors, monasteries, and distant fields beyond the edge of town. Without electric light extending the day indefinitely, there were fewer reasons for the mind to remain alert deep into the night. The world itself encouraged rest. Researchers studying historical sleep patterns often explain that ancient evenings unfolded through repetitive calming rituals repeated across generations. Candles were extinguished carefully, one by one, while fireplaces settled into glowing embers beneath layers of ash. Families wrapped themselves in blankets beside the final warmth of the fire, while rain drifted quietly against rooftops, and cold wind moved through forests outside sleeping villages. Conversations slowed naturally as exhaustion settled across the room after long days shaped by physical labor and natural daylight. In harbor towns beside the sea, lanterns reflected softly across black water, while ships rested silently beneath moonlit skies. Sailors sleeping below deck heard only waves moving gently against wood and distant ocean wind drifting through the rigging overhead. In mountain villages during winter, snowfall absorbed sound across rooftops and frozen roads, while smoke rose slowly from chimneys into the pale darkness above. Entire communities seemed suspended within stillness beneath the stars. Researchers increasingly believe that predictable low-stimulation environments help regulate emotional calmness because the nervous system no longer needs to prepare constantly for sudden interruption. Ancient nighttime worlds unintentionally created these conditions through darkness, reduced activity, repetitive sound, low warm lighting, and long uninterrupted stretches of quietness after sunset. Even travelers resting at roadside inns experience this slower rhythm of the night after hours moving through forests, rainstorms, fog, or snow-covered roads beneath lantern light. The warmth of a quiet inn often felt profoundly comforting. Wet coats dried beside fireplaces, while warm meals simmered slowly beneath candlelight, and horses rested in nearby stables, sheltered from the cold darkness outside. As the night deepened, footsteps faded from hallways, while storms continued softly beyond wooden walls, and distant rivers flowed quietly beneath moonlit bridges nearby. In monasteries, the atmosphere of nighttime rest became quieter still. Candlelit stone corridors echoed faintly beneath slow footsteps, while monks moved silently through late-night prayer before retreating once more into darkness and stillness. Outside monastery walls, forests and valleys rested beneath moonlight, while wind drifted softly through trees and distant bells occasionally echoed across the cold night air before silence returned again. And because entire communities entered this slower rhythm together, sleep itself often felt less isolated than it can in the modern world. Villages, roads, rivers, forests, ships, and distant farms all seemed to rest beneath the same darkness at the same time, while human beings drifted gradually towards sleep, surrounded by candlelight, weather, silence, and the peaceful rhythm of the ancient night. As the deepest hours of the night settled across the ancient world, entire landscapes often became extraordinarily calm in ways that modern cities rarely experience anymore. Long after the final candles dimmed behind village windows and the last travelers disappeared from the roads, forests rested beneath moonlight while rivers flowed quietly through darkness, and snowfall softened every remaining sound across rooftops, valleys, and empty streets. The world itself seemed to breathe more slowly beneath the stars once human activity faded almost completely after sunset. Researchers studying historical sleep environments frequently describe how closely human rest once aligned with the gradual slowing of the surrounding world. Nighttime was not simply a pause between workdays. It became a distinct emotional atmosphere shared across entire communities together. Darkness reduced movement naturally, while silence expanded across roads, harbors, monasteries, countryside villages, and distant farms beyond the edge of town. Inside homes during these late hours, fireplaces often provided the final warmth and light before sleep fully arrived. Embers glowed softly beneath iron grates, while wind drifted through distant trees outside, and rain continued steadily against rooftops during long winter storms. Families rested beneath thick blankets while the quiet rhythm of weather surrounded the home itself. In colder regions, snow reflected pale moonlight through windows, while smoke rose slowly from chimneys into the freezing darkness above sleeping towns. Researchers increasingly believe that predictable nighttime environments help calm the nervous system because they reduce sensory overload and allow awareness to settle gradually into stillness. Ancient communities unintentionally created many of these conditions simply because the world became quieter after sunset. Roads emptied, conversations softened, mechanical sound remained rare, candlelight dimmed naturally while darkness, rainfall, rivers, firelight, and distant wind shaped the emotional atmosphere surrounding sleep itself. In fishing villages beside the sea, the deepest hours of the night carried their own quiet rhythm. Waves rolled slowly against harbor walls, while lanterns swayed gently beside silent docks beneath enormous skies filled with stars. Sailors sleeping aboard ships drifted softly with the tide, while fog moved quietly across black water beyond the final lights of the town. In monasteries, silence settled through stone corridors, while distant bells occasionally echoed through cold night air before fading once more into darkness. And because so much of the world beyond homes and villages remained truly dark, people often experienced a stronger separation between day and night than modern urban life usually allows today. Forests disappeared into shadow beyond the final lanterns. Rivers reflected moonlight beneath sleeping bridges, while snowfall drifted softly across roads and rooftops under pale winter skies. Entire communities rested within a calmer atmosphere where darkness itself gently guided human beings towards stillness and sleep beneath the stars. As historians, neuroscientists, and environmental researchers continued studying how human beings once experienced the night before modern cities transformed the world, many began recognizing that ancient sleep was shaped not only by darkness itself, but by the collective slowing of entire communities after sunset. The world once became quieter together. Roads emptied, fires dimmed, candlelight softened behind narrow windows, while rivers, forests, snowfall, rainfall, and distant wind gradually became the dominant sounds surrounding human life through the night. Modern society rarely experiences this kind of shared stillness anymore. Cities remain active through every hour beneath artificial light, while engines, screens, advertisements, electrical systems, and constant movement continue surrounding the nervous system long after darkness arrives outside. The emotional boundary between day and night has become increasingly blurred. Many people attempt to sleep while the world around them still feels partially awake. But ancient communities followed very different rhythms. Once evening settled across villages, monasteries, harbor towns, forests, and countryside roads, life naturally slowed into quieter patterns shaped by weather, season, candlelight, and darkness itself. Human beings rested within environments where sensory intensity gradually faded over several peaceful hours rather than remaining continuously stimulated deep into the night. Researchers studying circadian biology increasingly believe that the nervous system evolved within environments far closer to these older nighttime conditions than to the endlessly illuminated modern world. Predictable natural sound, low warm lighting, reduced nighttime activity, visible darkness, and slower evening routines all appear strongly connected to emotional calmness and healthier transitions into sleep. Perhaps that is why modern people still feel deeply comforted by atmospheres resembling these older nights. Rain moving softly against windows during winter evenings, firelight glowing beside quiet rooms, snowfall covering roads beneath moonlight, ocean waves repeating endlessly through darkness, lanterns flickering beside silent harbors and distant roads after midnight. These scenes feel peaceful not only because they are beautiful, but because they resemble the sensory world surrounding human rest for most of history. There is something profoundly calming about imagining a village slowly falling asleep beneath the stars, while candlelight fades behind narrow windows and the world outside grows silent beneath snowfall, rain, fog, rivers, forests, and moonlight. Something deeply familiar about roads emptying after sunset, while distant bells echo softly through cold night air, before stillness returns once more across the landscape. Tonight, we traveled through the quieter rhythm of human sleep before modern cities learned to remain endlessly awake. We explored candlelit homes, snowy villages, silent harbors, monastery corridors, rainstorms moving through darkness, distant rivers beneath moonlight, and the peaceful atmosphere of nights once shaped almost entirely by nature itself. And somewhere far beyond the endless brightness and noise of the modern world, there are still quiet places where lanterns glow softly beside sleeping roads, fireplaces warm silent homes during storms, and the ancient rhythm of darkness and rest continues gently beneath the stars, much as it once did centuries ago. Act 8. The quiet world that still remains. For most of human history, the night unfolded within a world far quieter, darker, and slower than the one modern cities created. Roads disappeared beneath moonlight and snowfall, while candlelight flickered softly behind narrow windows. Rivers reflected the stars through silent valleys, while forests rested beneath cold wind, and distant church bells echoed gently through sleeping towns, before fading once more into stillness. Tonight, we traveled slowly through that older world. We wandered through peaceful villages, where lanterns glowed beside empty roads after sunset. We rested beside fireplaces while rain drifted softly against rooftops and storms moved quietly across distant hills beyond the warmth of candlelit homes. We followed travelers, crossing moonlit roads through forests and valleys beneath enormous skies untouched by artificial light. We explored silent harbors where ships drifted gently beside dark water, while snowfall covered rooftops and monasteries rested beneath the stars. We also explored the emotional rhythm of human life before modern cities filled the world with endless brightness and mechanical sound. Entire communities once slowed together after sunset. Candles dimmed naturally, conversations softened, roads emptied, while darkness itself guided the nervous system gradually towards stillness and rest. The sounds surrounding human sleep came mostly from weather, firelight, rivers, ocean waves, distant wind, and the quiet movement of the natural world through the night. Researchers studying circadian biology and environmental psychology increasingly believe that the human nervous system still responds deeply to these older nighttime conditions. Warm, low lighting, predictable natural sound, visible darkness, slower evening routines, and long stretches of quietness appear strongly connected to emotional calmness because they shaped human nights for generation after generation across thousands of years before electricity transformed the world forever. Perhaps that is why so many people today continue searching for fragments of these older atmospheres even now. A lantern glowing beside snowfall during winter nights. Firelight flickering softly across wooden walls while rain moves through darkness outside. Ocean waves repeating endlessly beneath moonlit skies. A quiet cabin surrounded by forests beneath the stars. These scenes feel peaceful not only because they are beautiful, but because they resemble environments the human mind once knew intimately. Modern life rarely allows the night to become fully quiet anymore. Cities glow endlessly, while highways continue moving through darkness beneath electric light and distant engines. Screens remain bright beside beds long after sunset, while information and stimulation continue flowing through every hour of the night. Yet somewhere deep inside the nervous system, the slower rhythm of the ancient world may still remain familiar. A village resting beneath snowfall and candlelight, a silent harbor beneath moonlight and stars, rainfall moving softly across rooftops during winter evenings, lanterns glowing beside empty roads disappearing into darkness. The final warmth of a fireplace before sleep slowly arrives. For countless generations, these were the atmospheres surrounding human rest. And perhaps the reason they still feel comforting today is because the mind remembers them. Tonight, we explored the peaceful world before modern cities transformed the rhythm of human life forever. We traveled through candlelit villages, quiet roads, snowy valleys, sleeping harbors, monastery corridors, moonlit rivers, rainfall, firelight, stars, and the softer atmosphere of nights once shaped almost entirely by nature itself. Before you go, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy peaceful, long-form, nighttime documentaries like this one. And in the comments, tell us what kind of nighttime atmosphere helps you relax most deeply. Snowfall, rain, ocean waves, firelight, forests, or quiet roads beneath the stars. For now, let the modern world grow distant for a little while longer. And somewhere far beyond the endless glow of modern cities, lanterns still flicker beside dark windows. Rivers still reflect the moon beneath silent skies. And the quiet rhythm of the ancient night continues gently beneath the stars, much as it once did centuries ago.